to your mayor, Ed Murray, and his husband, Michael Shirasaki.
Hello, Seattle. It's great to see so many Democrats. And I hope our friends in the media saw the crowds around block after block after block to see the next president. So we're at Rainier Beach, and I first want to acknowledge the hard work of the students, the teachers, the principals, and the families here at Rainier Beach. Including Mr. Brooks and Mr. Chappelle. And I just want to take a moment to be serious. Well, actually, the whole campaign is serious, but on behalf of the people of the city of Seattle, I want to express my condolences to the people of Brussels. We stand with you, our hearts are with you, we'll get through this. You know, I am so proud to be a Democrat. Together, we have fought for so much. We fought for marriage equality. We fought for civil rights. We fought to raise the minimum wage. And we are fighting for affordable housing. And as a city with President Obama in the White House, we have had a partner. And we need a progressive partner in the White House so that we don't lose it again. We can't afford to go backwards. We can't afford to lose those gains. And we can't afford the hateful reactionary politics of Donald Trump. And we must make sure that Donald Trump never becomes a president of the United States. To be a Democrat because we've had two candidates who've discussed the issue seriously with respect. And when I look at Hillary Clinton's agenda, what I see Seattle's agenda. I see a Clinton agenda that calls for quality pre-K. I see a Clinton agenda that calls for raising the minimum wage. I see a Clinton agenda that's about police reform, and I see a Clinton agenda that is about providing affordable housing for everybody in this country. And those are the reasons that tonight I'm joining progressive mayors around the country. Because progressive mayors around the country see somebody in Hillary Clinton that will be our partner, will be our partner in the White House. Someone that is committed to working with cities and urban problems in the other Washington. And that's why I am proud to be here tonight, and that is why I am proud to support Hillary Clinton for president. And when she wins in November, my husband, the first gentleman of Seattle, Michael, is willing to give Bill some pointers about how to be the first gentleman. I want to say just a little bit about shattering ceilings. We are way past the time of shattering the glass ceiling and electing America's first woman as president. I've been breaking, I guess it might be called the pink ceiling. That when you break a barrier, when you break a ceiling, when you're the first, it matters and it makes a difference. And it will make a real difference to finally have a qualified, experienced, brilliant, progressive woman named Hillary Clinton in the White House. So Seattle, please join me in welcoming to this great city, the next President of the United States of America.
the hope that every American should have, that their hard work will get them ahead, will enable them to have a better future, will give their children, and yes, their grandchildren, the chance to live up to their God-given potential. That's what we want for America, and that's what we're doing together in this campaign. You're part of the most consequential election we've had for a long time in America. I know that the stakes get higher by the day. I'm sorry that all the people outside could not be fit into this gymnasium, but I saw the excitement that they had while standing in line, some of them with their children, and I want them to know if we can get the word out to them. I'm grateful that they came. Sorry they couldn't get in, but they too understand what is at stake. I'm also very proud to have won Arizona tonight. Washington, like a lot of the states that are going to be expressing their views and counting their votes in the weeks ahead, understand that this is not just a contest between different candidates. This is a contest between fundamentally different views of our country, our values, and our future. Now, what we saw happen today in Brussels, the horrible terrorist attack, reminds us of how high the stakes are. We live in a complex and dangerous world, and we need a commander-in-chief who can provide leadership that is strong, smart, and above all, steady. The last thing we need, my friends, are leaders who incite more fear. In the face of terror, America doesn't panic. We don't build walls or turn our backs on our allies. We can throw out everything we know about what works and what doesn't and start torturing people. What Donald Trump, Ted Cruz, and others are suggesting is not only wrong, it's dangerous. It will not keep us safe. This is a time for America to lead, not cower, and we will lead, and we will defeat terrorism. We will take the fight to ISIS from the air, on the ground with local forces, and online, where they recruit and propagandize. We have to dismantle the global terror pipeline, stop the flow of fighters, weapons, and money, and strengthen our defenses here at home. And we need to work closely with our allies, because that cooperation will help make our own country safe. That is what I will do as president. So this is yet another reason why this election really matters. And your hard work, your commitment, your optimism about what we can do together is what I am counting on. You know, we need to keep working together. We need to make a point that we're going into the future with confidence and optimism. There's a lot of pessimistic talk. There's a lot of negativity. It's as though we aren't Americans. Nobody can beat us. They can't beat us anywhere if we're up to the game, if we're willing to compete, if we go after what matters, ourselves and our country. That's why so many people have joined this campaign. And I want you to think about the next president, whoever it is, walking into the White House. That we have to work hard between now and Saturday to convince people in Washington. And I want you to ask them with me what they answered to the next president's 3 big tests, because this will be true whoever it is. Number 1, can you make a positive difference in the lives of Americans? Number 2, can you keep us safe? And number 3, can you bring us together instead of driving us apart? Now, you know, I've given a lot of thought to these tests because I know, having traveled across our country, that each one of them really matters to Americans. You know, start with the first. Can you make a positive difference? You know, a lot of folks ask me, why are so many people who go to some of these rallies so angry? Well, a lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people are worried. A lot of people feel that their best days, and therefore our country's best days, are behind us. And I want you to just for a minute put yourselves in their minds. Think back. We had the worst financial crisis since the Great Depression. 9 million Americans lost their jobs. 5 million homes were lost. $13 trillion in family wealth was wiped out. A lot of Americans haven't recovered from that. A lot of Americans haven't had a raise in 15 years. A lot of Americans worry that life is not going to be better for their kids. I want you to understand that, because sometimes when all we see is the ugliness of these protests, the mean-spiritedness, when we see people running to be president of the United States who are literally inciting bigotry and violence, it's easy to say, you know, I'm not even going to pay attention to that. But what I want you to know is we've got to reclaim the promise of America for all of our people. It's the deteriorating water systems across America. It's the leaking pipelines across America. It's what we saw in Flint, Michigan. And as horrible as that is, I wish I could tell you it's the only place, but it's not. Children, 500,000 a year are affected by lead poisoning. So we've got work to do. It's important work, and it will put millions of Americans to work. And you can't export those jobs. They have to be done right here in Seattle. And we need more manufacturing jobs. There are some who say, well, we can't make things in America. I was out at Everett today. I met with the machinists and the aerospace workers. Yes, we can make things better than anybody else can, right here in America. But we've got to make sure we change the incentives in our tax code, which unfortunately actually encourages people to move jobs out of our country. We're going to take that on, and we're going to make sure that we have advanced manufacturing and the good jobs that come with it. And we're going to start by making sure that the machinists and the aerospace workers always are making the best planes, doing the most advanced work of anybody in the world. And we're going to combat climate change with more clean, renewable energy. This is one of the most consequential decisions facing us in this election. I am proud that as Secretary of State, I began the work with President Obama and our team that led to the Paris Agreement, that made it possible for us to say this has to be a top global priority. But if we don't fulfill it, it means nothing. It's just a piece of paper signed by 190 nations. So we have work to do, and I'm proud of the work that President Obama did against implacable hostility from the Republicans in Congress. I will protect, defend, and build on that work, but we've got to go further. I've set some big goals. I want to see us deploy 500 million more solar panels by the end of my first term. And I want enough clean, renewable energy to power every home in America by the end of my term. We know how to take on big challenges in our country. It's time we start acting like it again. I'm tired be mired in poverty. And you know, 2/3 of all minimum wage workers are women. And let's finally guarantee equal pay. Deserves a good teacher in a good school, regardless of the zip code. As the mayor said, I want more early childhood education. I want to be a partner with today's teachers. I want them to know the president will be on your side as you do the work to give our kids education. A campaign with your help, the help of our construction and trade unions and others, to enhance more apprenticeship programs, to encourage more young people to go and seek and obtain the skills they need to be able to be employed. We have made a grave error in any way undermining the work that is done by carpenters and plumbers and machinists. This is work that is in demand across our country. We're going to need more than 1 million people right now to fill these jobs. I want us to start doing this again in high schools, community colleges, and apprenticeship programs. Most things, besides student debt, that high in years. You can refinance your mortgage and get a better deal. You can refinance your car and get a better deal. Corporations can refinance their debt and get a better deal. I'm going to make it possible for you to refinance your student debt. And then I want to switch as many of you as will go into income contingency repayment programs. You know what that is? I'll tell you, when I graduated from law school, I didn't have any help going to school. I had to work, I had to borrow money, so I came out with a debt. But both my husband and I were in a contingency repayment program. We paid it back as a percentage of our incomes. So I could go to work for the Children's Defense Fund right out of law school, which is a job that I wanted to do. And I don't know, I think I made $14,000 a year, and I could pay my debt back as a percentage. I want every one of you to have that chance. And furthermore, I want a date certain where your obligation ends. and they see what happens in so many different families and settings. You know, when we were in the hospital with my daughter, when she had our granddaughter Charlotte, I was talking to one of the nurses, and the nurse said, you know, so many of the mothers in here don't have any time off. They don't have earned sick days. They don't have paid family leave. They can't afford to take unpaid leave under the Family and Medical Leave Act that my husband signed into law. And I'll tell you what, that made a big impression on me because the nurses see everything. So we're going to have paid family leave. We're going to have to get universal health care coverage. We're at 90%, and we're going to get there. So there's a big agenda for us to make a positive difference in people's lives that I want you to be part of. And secondly, we've got to keep ourselves safe. That is something I'm committed to, and it's not only about stopping terrorist attacks, although clearly that has to be front of mind. I will do everything to have the kind of safety net that includes law enforcement at all levels, intelligence cooperation, working with our friends in Europe and others to defeat ISIS, to create a chance for everybody to get out from under the threat that terrorism poses. But here's what I want to say. Donald Trump and Ted Cruz have made our job harder in the last few days. You know, Donald Trump saying we need to get out of NATO, the most important defense alliance there's ever been. It's headquartered in Brussels. We need to modernize it and make it ready to deal with the threats of today, including terrorism. And that's exactly what I will do as president. And Ted Cruz, who said we need to be policing everywhere that Muslims live. I don't know about you. That is not only offensive, that too is dangerous. Because we want everybody to feel like we are together on our common defense. So remember when you go to caucus and your friends go to caucus on Saturday, this is about not only selecting a president, but also selecting a commander-in-chief. And we need to be sure that we have those smart, steady hands, because we're going to face a lot of challenges, but also opportunities that the United States has to lead on. And finally, the third test, can you bring our country together instead of dividing it? I feel so strongly that this may be one of the most important issues, not just for the president, but for all of us. You know, I read an interesting article the other day. The man writing it said, you know, we now get along with people who differ from us on nearly everything but politics. Look at the progress we've made on civil rights, on women's rights, on gay rights, on all of the tough issues. But when it comes to politics, we don't want to talk to each other. We want to draw lines. Now, I believe we have to seek and find common ground wherever possible. I also believe we have to stand our ground on important matters of principle and values. But we can't let our nation be divided. We can't let a demagogue incite violence, model for our children the kind of bullying behavior that honestly you'd send somebody to time out if you wanted to. I feel that each of us has a role to play in this. You know, I've been saying we need more love and kindness and respect. With people who have a very different set of political views just for the sake of agreeing, no. But let's figure out how to work toward at least some potential outcome that would be good for our country. I'll tell you a story. When I was get it all at once. And so I went to work to get the Children's Health Insurance Program. And tonight, before coming out here, I had a young man say to me, this was, a long time ago, the late 1990s, ancient history. He said to me, I want to thank you because you saved my family from bankruptcy because of the Children's Health Insurance Program. I could have done that if we hadn't worked with Republicans, if we hadn't sought and found. So as I go through this campaign, I'm going to stand up for what I believe. I'm going to fight for the issues and the plans that I think will help move our country forward. But I will always say, I'll go anywhere, anytime to meet with anyone to find that common ground. If there's good faith, then maybe we can make progress, maybe not as much as I would like, but enough that we can solve the problems of some Americans. That's what we've got to start doing again. We've got to be able to point to the results that make people's lives better. We've got to be able to lift each other up, not put people down because they disagree with us. They don't have the right to say what they say. When you go to the caucuses on Saturday, I hope that you will, and everybody that you talk with, really think about not only the consequences and the stakes of this election, but how far we have come together. I'm proud of the progress we've made in America. I'm proud of the rights that we've extended to people. I'm proud that we have so much that really has made a difference in the lives of not just Americans, but people around the world. I went to 112 countries when I was Secretary of State. Countries disagreed with us, how they watched us, how they wondered how we did what we did in this big, brawling, pluralistic country of ours, how we held it together, how we made progress. I was always so proud. I don't ever want to lose that. I want us to continue to make progress. I want us to continue to seize the future, make it what it can be. And I particularly believe that on behalf of our children. Our volunteers here in Washington prove each and every day why I believe in what I'm doing and why I know that together we can make the differences I'm talking about. Lillian Ellis, just 14 years old, skipped a sleepover with her friends to get trained as a caucus captain here in St. Maria, an immigrant from Ecuador who dreams of becoming an American citizen, has been volunteering 20 hours a week for us in Bellevue. And Valerie, a caucus captain in Renton, relies on Social Security and food stamps to get by. She worries about rising drug prices, but she volunteers every other day, because she knows that we've got to make progress together, that this campaign is about helping people like her. It's easy to say what you're against. Let's start saying what we're for.